Hey everybody, Nick Espinosa, your chief security fanatic here. Don't forget to subscribe. And today we're talking about, once again, AI, but this time AI slop, because it's invading courts of law, not just here in the United States, but everywhere in the entire world. And quite frankly, this is something I've talked about quite a bit. And Evan Gorlick of the New York Times has a really good write-up on this, and he actually started with a case that I have referenced multiple times, both here in segments and also in front of live audiences as well. So you might remember this one, but earlier this year, a lawyer filed a motion in Texas bankruptcy court that cited a 1985 case known as Brasher v. Stewart. The case didn't exist. Here we go. AI basically had created that citation along with 31 others. And so, obviously, upon review, the judge basically took the lawyer to task for this, in his opinion, referring him to the state bar's disciplinary committee and mandating 6 hours of AI training. But let's dive deeper than just this here, though, because that filing was basically spotted by Robert Freund. Now, he's an LA-based lawyer, and he has basically fed this to an online database that is now tracking legal AI misuse globally. In other words, when it's just making stuff up, they are starting to compile this information. So, Freund is part of a growing network of lawyers who track these AI abuses committed by their peers, and they're collecting the most egregious examples, as I mentioned, and putting them online. And they hope, the point of this is that they hope that by tracking this slop, they can draw attention to the problem and therefore put an end to it. In other words, other attorneys start to get wind that they've been added to this. You know, maybe they're going to back off using AI, and then the attorney's friends of attorney's friends, et cetera, et cetera. So, while judges and bar associations generally agree that it's fine for lawyers to use chatbots for research, they must still ensure their filings are accurate. And that's what the courts have consistently said. If you're going to be basically giving me case law, whoever v whatever, you've got to make sure that it's actually correct. So, for lawyers, a federal judge in New York helped set that standard when he wrote in 2023 that, quote, there is nothing inherently improper, end quote, about using AI, although they must check the work. The American Bar Association agreed, saying that lawyers, quote, have a duty of competence, end quote. And yeah, I would agree with that as well. A couple years back, also in Texas federal court, the judge basically wrote the same thing to say, you cannot use artificial intelligence in my court, and if you do, you are basically signing an affidavit that says that you have fact-checked everything. In other words, you're taking responsibility for the lies that the AI is doling out. But since basically artificial intelligence has taken off, and as it's taken off as well, so has the misuse of AI. We've all seen that in various ways. The legal profession is no different. Chatbots frequently make things up, and judges are finding more and more fake cases basically being cited, which are then essentially rounded up by Freund and his ilk. Now, according to court filings and interviews with lawyers and scholars, the legal profession in recent months has basically become a hotbed for AI mistakes and blunders. Some of these stem from people's use of chatbots in lieu of hiring a lawyer as well. In other words, I want to go to court, I want to prepare documentation, I can go to ChatGPT myself as a non-attorney and have it do it for me, and then just make stuff up, and I'm not legally trained, so maybe it's making up statutes I have no idea about, and I'm not doing my homework because, well, it's in an hour, let's just let ChatGPT do it, right? Chatbots, for all their pitfalls, can help those representing themselves, though, quote, speak in a language that judges will understand, end quote. That's according to Jesse Safer, a North Carolina-based lawyer who contributes to these cases. But an increasing number of cases originate among legal professionals, and courts are starting to map out punishments and small fines for other discipline. Court-ordered penalties, quote, are not having a deterrent effect, according to Freund, who has publicly flagged dozens of examples over the year. Quote, the proof is that it continues to happen. In other words, they're not getting the memo just yet. And so there's probably going to be some big event where somebody, basically an attorney, makes up, or rather the AI the attorney uses makes up case law and ends up in contempt of court and in jail or something like that, or on charges, et cetera, et cetera. The point is that we have a tendency, and I've mentioned this before, to believe AI simply at will, that the answers it gives us are authoritative when oftentimes they're not. You know, they're sycophantic. They hallucinate. They want to make sure that they think that we are getting the information that they want us to give us. That's how they think. And so by virtue of that, having an attorney go into court when the AI just wants to help the attorney and says, yeah, here's some case law, boom, and nobody checks any of this, that's an issue. So if I'm using like a chat GPT, oftentimes I'm saying, hey, show me. I literally just recently had a project where I was looking at privacy laws for a client for like something like a dozen different countries around the world where they operate. And by virtue of that, I could use artificial intelligence, but I'm basically looking through and making sure that everything is legal. I'm going to the actual articles, the actual constitutional legal standards for the country to review what the AI has organized for me to make sure that I'm not then turning over and delivering something that is demonstrably false. You've got to do your homework here. And I understand that AI can cut down time, but it's not going to cut down all the time. So I'll leave it at that. Make sure that you're very careful with artificial intelligence because it's going to continue to hallucinate and it's going to continue to make stuff up. And if you're a lawyer, you better take heed. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please, please, please attempt to stay private, informed, and secure. Take care.